we'd like to sincerely thank our Patreon supporters. All right, what's going on, everybody? I am here with my house guests for the weekend, and we are gonna focus on Kagan Andrews and what she does for a living and some of her work experience / expertise. Tell us what you do for work right now.
Sure. So essentially what I mostly do is work as a greenhouse worker or horticulture worker.
Okay.
And so that's focusing a lot on plants, keeping them healthy, starting them from really early stages where they're either seedlings or tissue starts, and then getting them to the point where they're ready to ship out to customers.
Awesome. So you know a lot about grafting or starting from seeds.
So typically the greenhouse that I most recently worked at, we would get them from other companies, but I've started a ton of plants from seeds. Typically each year I'm starting hundreds of garden variety vegetables from seed because I have a 25-foot by 100-foot garden. So I grow lots of vegetables, fill up 2 full freezers worth of food. I mean, typically during harvesting months, I'm pulling 50+ pounds per week of vegetables. Yeah.
That's freaking awesome. We need to do something like that on this property. You want to come and walk with me and talk? Let's talk about one of our last videos was taking down the greenhouse, and you kind of agreed. I said originally the goal was to put the greenhouse because it's a dual purpose. It's for starting off the babies, but also I want to start plants off in there and keep plants in there. So this area where we removed, if I can speak, the above ground pool between the house and the shop and the bar area was the intended area, but once I saw the pool gone from that area, and again that little house will be gone, wouldn't it be nicer to have like a little meandering path to the bar with maybe a cage with a focal point animal and a cage with a focal point animal, and then just pretty plants?
Yeah, once this pump house is out of the way and it clears that view to the cages out there, this is just going to be way too beautiful.
Because otherwise you just have that little cramped walkway, which we can do away with and get something lower against the shop, pull some of those rocks away. It's actually better for it to breathe and not have plants right up against it, because that's CBS, plants up against it, doesn't matter. That's frame, plants up against it will actually give the termites a secure way to get into your structure and eat it from the ground up. So probably better to clear that out a little bit and have more of our plants in here. So let's walk the property and get an idea for where you think might be suitable. Like I would say on that side of the property is like an oak grove, or what would you call it? Oak, when it's all oaks.
Yeah, I guess
grove. A grove. I chose the right word.
What direction does your sun rise?
That way, and it's setting that way. So I mean that would decide the direction of the greenhouse. I only have a couple areas that are free of trees, and that's the back half of the property where the animals are, and then this corner of the property where we discussed maybe doing the Hobbit house, but now that's kind of floating around. Like I'm not 100% sure. We could build something significant and on wheels that is trailerable, that I could move different locations on the property. I mean, that's definitely an idea. But you know, the original plan for this area was to do the Hobbit house and do the Wolfe's World experience, so I can monetize this property best and people can come and visit and enjoy it. But I can always invest in a property that's not here, that's down the street a little ways, and have guests stay there and then just pick them up in the morning and drop them off at night. And still, we could still do it. It doesn't necessarily have to be on the property. And from the view of an investment, maybe having 2 separate properties. Watch the fire ants. There are lots of fire ants on this property. But this is another area.
Yeah, this is a really nice location. Were you thinking container gardening or in the ground?
Whoa, well, greenhouse one, and then also it would be nice to have your vegetable garden area next to it.
Yeah.
But keep in mind, once we walk back to the cage, I also want to grow a lot of vegetables, tomatoes, peppers, stuff like that, inside of their enclosures.
Yeah.
As long as I cage them climbing on it wouldn't matter. As long as I buy the sturdier cage material,
yeah.
I can grow a lot in there, and the ground is self-fertilized. Like, it really is good soil. So I don't know if I was holding the camera right there for a second. Sometimes I get lazy with the camera because I'm not, it's just watching a cubby of quail run across an opening. That's a small one. There's only like 4 or 5 birds in that group. The big groups are like 30 birds. Yeah, they're
Trolling his yard.
Yeah, he doesn't mess with them at all. He lets them do their thing. So we're gonna walk around and we're gonna discuss some of the fruit trees that are on the property, and we'll bring you guys along. All right, as we're walking the property, I was trying to show Kagan this side of the lake, is my area that has the sandiest soil. Now, this side of the lake is the turtles' favorite. All the water turtles like this area too. I mean, this could be disturbed by turtles here, I don't know. This is where they like to lay their eggs. They like to come up here and dig and bury their eggs on this beach. But this sandy area would be amazing for grapefruit, mandarins, oranges, lemons, limes, and grow my citrus. Citrus likes that better draining soil. So this is an ideal area, and whatever large tree they had there and there is now gone. This maple isn't as strong, obviously, as like, say, like that oak. It's not going to take the sunlight away from the citrus. Like, this would be an ideal spot to grow.
Oh, there's little air plants hanging out in the middle.
These are the bad air plants. Now, this air plant you'll typically find on a branch, and that branch be dead. So you see that section of branch has nothing on it. The branch without that type of air plant is flowering with leaves. So that is something that has to, like, whenever you can, I'll show you some trees that are choked out by it. But these guys kill the branch. They take the nutrients from it. Then the other ones are basically just on the branch getting their moisture and sunlight. They're just basically on it, not robbing from the plant. Like a Spanish moss doesn't hurt the plant. So I think there's an example on, was this a magnolia, right? So it's taller branches that were doing good, the ones with the air plants. It killed those branches up there. And the areas below that still are getting nutrients. So you have to walk your property and remove them because they kill the plants. All right, so now we're walking to what we call the oak grove. This is my mulberry, and look at the buds on this mulberry. It is covered with young mulberries. If you guys could see the little, can you see the little mulberries on it? Every branch everywhere is covered with small leaves popping up, mulberries. This thing's going to be covered in just a short while. Now this winter I should have trimmed the top of this tree and let it come back low and wide, but I was too busy with other stuff, so that trimming is going to have to happen next year. You can't harvest the mulberries up top, so the birds are going to get those, unfortunately. And this is a guava. I don't know if it's a white or a strawberry guava yet. I'll have to wait till it fruits, and it may not fruit because maybe it's fighting too hard. I know, I love the wood.
I love it. This is some of my favorite kind of wood.
They're beautiful. And this is where I'm, like, right now transferring plants from the other house and enclosures.
Look at this.
Starting Calusia. Yeah, some of my orchids. This is probably my second oldest to oldest orchid. This thing's been repotted quite a few times, split, and it was growing sideways before at the other house because I think some of the wires had broke. So now it needs to correct itself. But a lot of the orchids were somewhat neglected, but I mean, they all bloom steady. They like to not be messed with. Almost every one of them has, like, that's gonna bloom. That's gonna bloom. Like all these guys are gonna flower. Yeah, my mom just repotted some of these. So like this one, she just repotted.
Oh yeah.
They're gonna do good.
Like that.
And these clusias are ready. These were branches that I cut off some of the bigger clusias on the property and just stuck them in and tied them up. Some of them spun in the wind and had a hard time kicking off, but now they're ready to go in the enclosures. Oh, here you go. A little Florida green anole right there. Let's see if I can get a shot. You guys see him on the leaf there before he runs away? Yes, he is. I don't know if you guys remember from way back. Remember that green anole? That was the male green anole that was mating with the brown anoles. I never did find hybrids. So you know, if you guys are thinking about that, I think about that all the time. I always look if I see some weird hybrid lizard, but it's a lemon tree. There is a lemon up there.
Hey!
Oh, there's two. This, I don't know if I'd want to eat this one, but that one still maybe looks all right. It's definitely fighting for sunlight where it is. I did try to trim some of the oak trees to get it a little bit more, and it's had some new growth, but we're coming out of winter. So now we're getting to the back half of the property. And I've discussed on the channel the growing stuff inside of the enclosures. Oh, he's moved. He's in a different location now. What's his name again?
Miko.
Miko. I'm gonna need that tattooed on my wrist or something. Permanent marker if it'll last a couple days so I can remember. So the mango tree we got. Now this might have been started from a seed. It's got really new growth. These warm days, it's kicking off good. Now we discussed briefly the idea of grafting, and grafting is such a significant way to get a head start on a plant to get it to fruit faster, because if you graft a large branch off of a mature tree, you can actually get a tree that's going to fruit and actually be able to bear and hold the weight of these fruit, because like avocados are huge and heavy. This was a grafted branch, clearly off of a older, more mature tree. This we only bought a couple months ago. Look at it dropped almost every leaf. There's like 4 or 5 leaves on it altogether. It's all buds. And we're still kind of in winter, but I mean, I don't think this thing could support more than like 6 large avocados, but you wouldn't get that out of a tree that was only a year old. So pretty awesome. I love avocados, so I can't wait. Are you looking at the brown anole? That's sorry, the camera. I scared him away. All right, we're gonna walk, and if we find something interesting, I'll bring you guys back. All right, so we worked our way back to the area that we started, and just talking back and forth, I think we came up with a good idea. As far as a greenhouse and a garden area, this is our spot. This is really our only ideal spot.
Yeah.
That doesn't
intrude too much on what else you want to do back there.
Yeah, and that's very important, what I want to do there, and I shouldn't take away from that.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're getting the smell of Blackbeard. You guys remember, I'm gonna try and reconstruct his skeleton, and he is in a wire cage and in burlap, so none of the bones are displaced. So I have that right there, and the wind is kicking it right straight towards us. So here we go. But then that affects the Hobbit house area. And number one, that should be my number one plan, and whether it's realistic or not, can happen or not, I want it to happen, but at the end of the day, we got to figure out what I can financially do. I could afford an empty lot somewhere around here. We can find an Airstream trailer or something cool like that, a single wide that's used, and we can renovate it, get people in there, and start doing the Wolfe's World experience and tours at Kennan's property and so on and so forth, and get monetized, start making money again. And then we can pull the proper permits and stuff and start building the Hobbit house on that property, and build it, get the landscaping to spark up, you know, like get the plants in the ground ASAP so everything starts maturing and looking good, because plants take a while. They're going to take a couple seasons to really look the way that you want them to look. I don't have the budget to buy mature trees like a couple $100,000 for landscaping. I'm not a golf course. So we'll have to start with smaller trees, and they're going to have to grow in to make the property. And then we can sell the single wide or the Airstream trailer or whatever, and have our Hobbit house and do exactly what we want. So we don't have to hold back on this section of land. This is the area of land that we could do the greenhouse. So I will find out from the county what my setbacks are to build, and then I can figure out what size greenhouse I could put on this property, and we can formulate a plan. And then maybe we'll see Kagan again when we're setting it all up, and she can show us how to start some of these young plants. I think that's all for this one, guys. Until next time, thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching, everyone. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. See you soon.